Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. We do projects, training, and consulting. And welcome to episode 152. I'm sorry if it said the wrong thing on the YouTube. I'll fix it later. This is an article I just wrote called UX Roles Need UX Managers. Sounds obvious, but somehow this doesn't exist. So before we jump into the article and the discussion around it, as always, I want to thank everybody who is donating to the YouTube channel through the YouTube memberships program. It's $3 to $10 American per month, and I give you nothing but gratitude and emojis, and you help support the channel, which again is totally optional but always appreciated. So thanks to everybody doing that. Welcome to you, Manzir. We're going to jump right in to my article. It's not a long article, so it might not be a long show today, but I'm okay with that. All right, let me set this all up and flip over to the screen. Okay, we should be seeing, yes, the chat room, me, the optional tip jar for super chats, super stickers, and things like that. And of course, my screen. And this is an article that's on Medium, so you can find it there if it interests you. If you'd like to follow me on Medium or share the article out, it's quite simply called UX Roles Need UX Managers. I'm going to read it out loud, and if I see questions or comments in the chat room, I'll stop from time to time and see what people are saying. So let's do it. UX roles need UX managers. Sounds obvious, right? Yet, how many CX or UX researchers or designers are managed by people who've never worked in UX before? Would you have developers answer to marketing? Would you have QA engineers answer to brand? Would you have product managers answer to the legal department? Would you have marketers report to IT? These answers seem obvious. When companies start hiring UX professionals, they're not sure where they belong organizationally. UX does design work that looks pretty and relates to our brand. Should they report to marketing or brand? That's where we have some designers now, so maybe they fit there. UX partners with engineering because in a software world, that's who will build what UX creates. Maybe they should answer to an engineering lead or manager. UX works closely with product managers and product owners. UX is researching and designing what the product will be, so maybe they should report up to product. UX works closely with artists and visual designers, so maybe they should answer to the creative director. Ultimately, UX partners with all of these teams and domains, plus others, including data and analytics, business analysts, and customer support. When UX is under one of these organizationally, they are usually heavily influenced, if not completely controlled, by the priorities of that domain. Brand and marketing are often concerned about visual design and customer satisfaction metric wins. Engineering is often concerned about speed. We measure them in velocity. Some companies don't mind spending time coding the wrong solution as long as we seem to be working fast. Break it fast, let the public suffer with it, fix it fast, or so we promise. PMs and POs are supposed to balance customers' needs and business goals, but those are often out of balance. At many companies, product is pushing teams to deliver on the metrics and the numbers that the business wants to see lifted. We're sometimes far from customer-centric, but hey, we make the numbers. Each of these domains often pushes UX to skimp on anything that doesn't satisfy that domain's goals and metrics. Dropping the UX department under any of these can shift UX's goals and work more closely to match the, I should read that again. Dropping the UX department under any of these can shift UX's goals and work to more closely match the domain managing UX. You might make the numbers or work fast, but what about quality? Are we creating what customers would say is high value or 5 stars out of 5? Think about the best manager you had. Apart from desirable personality traits, the best manager you ever had probably truly understood your work and role. They supported you and had your back when there were conflicts or decisions that needed escalation. They could check your work and help you become better at it. The best manager you ever had probably previously had a career doing the work you're doing. They're a UX research manager who previously did research for 7 or more years. They're a UX design manager who previously did information architecture, interaction design, and wireframing or prototyping for 7 or more years. Personality traits aside, the worst manager you had probably didn't understand what you did, how or why you did it, and why it should be done using the methods and timing you suggested. Didn't support you or didn't know how to support you when you ran into conflicts or when you weren't given enough time or resources to do great work. Didn't want to fight for you to get more time or head count when we can didn't want to fight for you to get more time or head count when we can try some trendy thing they read people can do with design. Couldn't help you become a better UX practitioner because they never were a UX practitioner. Declared that anybody can do your work because your work looks easy, so it's probably easy to learn or do. Interestingly, this is sometimes declared by domains who hate when people do this to them. Product managers hate when people think anybody can easily be a product manager after minimal training, but they're sure that anybody can do UX work after minimal training. UX practitioners need a UX expert as their manager. Some companies think that any breathing human that manages other humans would make a great manager. Sorry, I'm just making a note here. Got some typos I want to fix. Let me try that again. Some companies think that any breathing human that manages other humans would make a great UX manager. But we don't do that with UX, which shows how much our company misunderstands UX. We understand this profession so little that we're not sure where they should be in the org. Globally, we misunderstand UX so much that different companies have UX in different org branches. And if we just need managers who are alive, then any breathing human should be a great manager to engineers, marketers, or product managers, even if they've never done that type of work before. But we don't do that. We match workers and individual contributors to managers and leaders who previously did the work and were promoted up into management and leadership. We must start doing this with CX and UX as well. Be careful of giving that newbie a high-level title like head of UX. Perhaps you thought that the best way to win over someone you wanted to hire was to give them a high title: director, head, VP of UX, design, or experience. UX workers expect to have a manager who has been there and done that. Will candidates pass on your open job when they learn the head of design has less experience than the candidate does? I dropped out of the interview process when I learned the head of UX graduated a boot camp 2 years ago. I dropped out of an interview process when I learned the VP of experience was a developer everybody liked and they were trying to find a high title job so they could move him to leadership, but somehow not engineering leadership. If you want to do people favors, please keep those favors out of the UX department. The manager should be your first hire and should be 0% allocated to the day-to-day work. I'm seeing an increasing number of job descriptions that call for a UX manager, director, or head who will get in the work or devote 20% of their week to the work. If this is your first hire, how will you assess how this person does the job? If they're under pressure to do the work, they'll probably spend more than 20% of their week, 6 hours, on the work. If they're under pressure to build a team, create standards, and develop strategies, they'll need more than 80% of their time to do that. I've seen director of research jobs that want you to be the company's only researcher, and maybe someday you'll get to build a team, but will call you director now, even though you are the director of nobody. Do we hire directors in other domains, require them to do the day-to-day work, and give them no team or department to direct? No, then let's not do this with UX. I've been dropping out of the interview process for companies who want their first UX leader and their first worker bee to be the same person, and you will somehow balance two full-time jobs at once. I recently requested that one company hire me along with a junior so that we can be the team for now while I'm doing all of the strategic, operational, and administrative work plus some of the day-to-day work. The company refused. Good luck to the one person who takes that job. Start with the leader and let them build their department, team, and practice. You can hire the worker bees first, but you run the risk that you hire people the leader wouldn't have chosen. Choose the leader first. Make sure they have extensive experience in the practice and let them build a world-class team. And that is the article. Let's talk about it. Okay, Ray is clapping. Thanks, Ray. Good to see you. Chiwat says, I'm seeing creative directors and design leads from ad agencies become UX leads. I don't think it's right that they're learning UX on the job while faking it and getting paid big bucks. I have to agree. I keep saying if people do not qualify for the job we're giving them, they shouldn't get the job we're giving them. If a creative director wants to move into UX, they certainly can, but their next move is probably UX junior. They're not a UX lead just because they've done creative director work before. So I think that we are really hurting this. And actually, I just posted to LinkedIn because I had a phone interview yesterday with a company and the job title was Senior Manager of UX. Now, stop and picture in your mind a senior manager of UX. Now, I imagine someone above a manager. There's a manager, and I'm above that manager. Great. This is kind of like a director job, but they're calling it senior manager because they have lots of levels of hierarchy. That's fine. So the first question asked the woman is, who does this report to? Who's the boss? She said, the VP of Innovation. And my thought was, okay, that's interesting. That could work. Sure. Okay, keep going. And she said, the job is going to be making websites. And I'm like, uh-oh, this is starting to go wrong. She's like, websites with pop-ups. And I'm like, oh, this is going really wrong. She told me what it paid, and it was senior or lead pay. And I said, wait a minute, it sounds like this job is doing the work. She's like, yeah, you're making the website. I said, I'm sorry, this job is called senior manager. Am I managing anybody? She said, no, it would be just you. And I said, then why is it called senior manager? And she said, because you're managing the project. And I was like, okay, yeah, no. I said, I'm sorry, I've been working in leadership positions where I'm not doing the work anymore. I'm looking for a job where I have a team or I'm building a team and a practice and all of that. And she's like, well, maybe you'll get to build a practice. And I was like, I'm sorry, this sounds like you just want a worker bee and I'm looking for leadership. And she said, well, if you change your mind, let me know. And I said, well, if you have a manager job that's actually managing, let me know. So I would say that didn't end well. Hey, Kayleen, I was just thinking of you today. How are you? Ilaria says, it's just a bit frustrating when other people from other departments seem to judge you like an idiot because you declined a position you don't think you're ready for. Yeah, that's another one too. Or sometimes people, I've heard that some UX people are trying to negotiate their title down. We're actually talking about this in my LinkedIn post right now, the post from yesterday, because some people said, yeah, I got one of those high titles really early and then it hurt me because all of a sudden my my resume or CV or LinkedIn said, senior director of thingy. And it turned out it was just them doing the work alone with no team, nothing to direct, no strategy. They're just the worker bee, but they gave them some high title. And they said that started really hurting me because all kinds of recruiters or hiring managers were like, oh, how big a team did you manage? And it's like, No, it was just me. And so now I hear some people are actually fighting for the title to be correct. Sometimes that's upward, but more and more I'm hearing about it being downward. Like, wait a minute, I'm the only UX person there and I'm doing the work. Don't call me head of UX. People are going to expect so much out of me. And this is really just a senior designer job. How about I'm senior UX architect? So, yeah. Kayleen says, I'm confused by titles with the word manager for the sake of title inflation and salary bracket. Yeah, and the one I'm talking about wasn't even a manager salary. If you ask me, it sounded like senior or lead salary. So that they, according to them, they threw in the word manager because I'm project managing my own project. Kayleen says, I've been seeing this in multiple practices. And Ray says, why is the industry headed this way? Kayleen says, not just UX. Yeah, I am hearing about this happening in other areas as well. I think Kayleen is right that there is this title inflation going on in other places. Even the term creative director, we've all gotten used to it as a title, especially from agency work. But in many cases, a creative director is a worker bee artist. They're usually not necessarily a team leader. They're not necessarily a manager. They are the person who directs the creative or the creative work. And so they got, just like product manager isn't someone's manager, they manage the product. And the creative director directs the creative. So we definitely do have some confusing titles that are left over from another era, and we haven't fixed them. So a lot of times people say, ooh, creative director, wow, they've already been a manager or director level, and very often they've really just been a senior or lead. So I think that's where we have to use our storytelling in our resume, on LinkedIn, in interviews, to explain when the title wasn't totally, okay, why are we getting this? Solomon says, I used to think that everyone in any business context practiced critical thinking, and then I started reading job descriptions. Yeah, that's very true. There does seem to be a lack of critical thinking. There's a lot of wacky stuff in job descriptions, but again, use that as a red flag. There's a lot of jobs I don't apply to because I can already tell from the job description I don't want to work here. The jobs that say you're going to do design thinking, the jobs that say come and run a lot of workshops, workshop facilitation, the jobs that say we do lean UX. Chihuat says, I know someone who is using the big title to his advantage, getting on panel discussions, teaching courses at private schools, and being an ADP mentor, but he's crap. Yeah, we call that an imposter. And I have worked with imposters and I've worked for imposters. And it's amazing because the reality is that the people working with this person always know. Once this person is there even a month, we can tell that this person is really bad at what they do. But the problem is many companies at that point don't know what to do. We spent all this time and money hiring this person. We said no to all these other people. It can cost a huge amount of money to now fire that person, or some people can't fire them. Their contract says they have to be written up by HR and they have to be put on performance improvement plans. Someone told me a story last year that it took them 6 months to fire someone they knew was bad in month 1 because of all of the policies their company had to put a lot of cotton balls around people and try not to get sued. Kayleen says manager, director should mean something big, like people management and strategy. Totally agree. Totally agree. I think product manager is not a great title, but it's been out for so long, I don't think it's going to change. Creative director has been around for decades and decades. I don't think it's going to change. But certainly when it comes to UX, if someone says I'm a UX manager, I imagine they have at least one person who reports to them and they are a manager. They are not doing the day-to-day work. Yet there's so many people out there with these manager titles, and it's like, well, you're the first UX hire, so we need you to be the manager and the worker. So we'll give you the manager title so it'll look really good. But then you don't look really good because then I interview you for a job and I go, great, we need a manager. How many people did you manage at the last job? 0. okay, what are we doing here? You know, now I feel like you're wasting my time. That interview just went badly. So I know that the title inflation can look good. I know it can feel good, but I'm really worried that it ultimately works against the candidate. And they're very rarely being paid whatever that title says. You're not making manager money. You know, if you're in America, are you making 150, 160, 180, $200,000 a year? Or did they offer you senior pay or something else? What can I tell you? So, yeah, so that was today's article. While I wait for any other comments or questions you all have, let's talk about the show schedule because this may or may not be the last show for a couple of weeks. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I have kept the office hours and the critical thinking on the schedule for now, but it's really going to depend on how we're spending our vacation, because I'm going to prioritize the vacation, and how the Wi-Fi is where we are. Total unknown. We're going places I haven't been to before. I can't say, yeah, I know the Wi-Fi is great there. We are not going to Disney World, where I know the Wi-Fi is great there. Chiwat says, thanks for helping me understand why imposters are getting away with crap. I couldn't figure it out. Yeah, a lot of times it's especially in America, it's very hard to fire someone because people love to turn around and sue. And so you have to go through all of these hoops. Like first, you have to warn the person. And if that doesn't help, then you're supposed to coach them and see if they can do their work better. And then you're supposed to write them up with HR and tell HR that they're not performing well. And then they're supposed to be put on a performance improvement plan where we're coaching them again and trying to help them be better. And then finally, someone says, this isn't working out, you're fired. Usually, by the time a company is putting you on a performance improvement plan, it's a pretty clear signal that they want you to leave. So if you're ever put on a performance improvement plan, even if you believe you didn't deserve it, I would start applying. It's not going to go well. Kayleen says, I thought you were already on vacation. I am not. It starts tomorrow, and then I'm back June 6th. Caitlin says the 3-month trial period I've seen seems like a pretty good way to go. Yeah, so some companies call that probation or a probational period, and I like it too. I think it is a good idea. Now, the downside is that obviously if the person doesn't work out, it sucks for everybody. The worker has to go back into applying and interviewing, and the company has to start their process all over again, interviewing and trying to hire people. So that is the downside. There are downsides to that probation period, which is usually about 3 months. On the upside, it's great for both people to try each other out. It's a little bit more advantageous to the employer because what the contract normally says for the employer is in your first, usually 90 days, we can fire you at any time for any reason. That means they can bypass all of that wacky coaching and paperwork and HR stuff that I told you. And I've seen it happen. When I was at Macy's, there was a woman working there, and I was like, gee, I'm not sure she's even doing anything. Like, what is with this woman? Well, I'm not going to say anything. Like, we'll just have to figure this out. And on day 89 of her 90-day probation period, they fired her. And I was like, yep, that works. And I checked her LinkedIn later, and she didn't even list working at Macy's. She just pretended it didn't happen, and that's fine. But I think that that can be a good way to go. It's also why you sometimes see contract to hire, because especially in America, contractors are very easy to fire. Sometimes they don't even require any notice. Your last day is today. So that's another way to do kind of that probationary period is come be a contractor for 3, 6 months, whatever. If you like us, if we like you, we'll offer you a full-time job. The downside to that is that contractors are often paid way more than full-timers. So when you try to convert that person from contract to full-time, it's often like, where'd all the money go? No, thank you. Ilaria says, how common is it to find a head of who's actually happy to do the little things instead of focusing on the higher level topics and on strategic issues? If I'm a head of, I don't want to do the little things. I should have a hierarchy below me who can do that. I should have managers who are looking in on the day-to-day work so that I don't have to look in on the day-to-day work. I shouldn't have to worry about everybody's projects. I'm at a higher level as the head, and I can be more strategic. I can work more with executives and leadership. I can look more at the ways that we work and things like that, budgets, whatever. So I would say, if you are head of, and again, head of is different in Europe than in America. In America, head of is a pretty high title. Sometimes it is higher than manager, director. It can be head of way up high. In Europe, head of is a lower title. Head of is sometimes the person right above the lead. It's kind of a manager level job. It's like what Americans call manager, sometimes in Europe is called head of. In that case, I would expect the head of to be familiar with the work and be reviewing the work, but not doing the work. So once people have a leadership title higher than lead, so when people are lead, they're kind of leadership, but they're still doing the work. Once you're above that, I kind of expect you to not do the work. I expect you to be strategic, operational, and administrative. Chiwat says, I always assumed that imposters' self-promotion and branding game was strong. Like you tell yourself something's good because it's branded even if your gut tells you otherwise. Oh yeah, one of the imposters I worked with popped up at an event I was speaking at. They brought him in to speak too. Again, he was an imposter and he was, Ilaria says, I found the unlikely exception. I don't know what she's referring to. The imposter showed up at this event to speak, and we were both speakers at the same small event. It was just me and him and one other person. And I was like, oh man, this guy, oh, he's so bad. Is the audience going to fall for it, or are they going to think he's bad? I don't know. But I'll never forget it. He came out and he said, hi, my name is blah, 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 and I'm a UX. And I was thinking, you're probably not a user experience. So, yeah. That person was a total imposter. And again, we figured it out, but by the time we figured, and actually I had told my boss not to hire him because I had reviewed his resume, I had interviewed with him, and I said, don't pick him. And my boss was like, we're desperate, we really need more designers. And I was like, but don't pick this guy, don't get desperate. And then of course the boss hired him, and he was worse than we thought. And I remember one thing he used to do a lot was call a lot of meetings for people to brainstorm his projects with him. But like I didn't call meetings to brainstorm my projects with me. Like, no, we weren't doing that. Everybody had to do their own work. And then we got together from time to time for maybe like a peer review or, you know, that type of session. But he would call meetings, almost seemed like weekly, to like brainstorm ideas for his projects. And I was just like, I don't want to do his work. If he doesn't know how to solve this, like, just fire him already. This is so stupid. But, you know, he got a couple of good names on his resume, and then people thought he was great. But the reality was, you know, doesn't matter. That's why I don't pay much attention to people's resumes. Just because you worked somewhere doesn't mean you did it well. The really terrible vice president at one of my jobs, who was a terrible imposter and was such a bad manager and leader and everything that the entire department was quitting. He had worked many, many years ago at Apple, and I guess was still riding off of whatever credibility that seemed to give him. But he was 100% terrible. Every single person hated him. I eventually asked somebody, how did he get the job? And the response I got was, he was the least bad person of the 3 people we interviewed. And I'm like, then we need to have interviewed more than 3 people. We can't just go with the least bad person. And what the hell is with the other 2? So very, very strange stuff out there. Okay, so as I was saying, I may or may not see everybody in the next 2 weeks. If for some reason I cancel the shows over the vacation, I will update our calendar. Don't forget you can find our events calendar, our Slack channel, and lots of other things at deltacx.com/links. So keep an eye on that. I'll probably make a decision Tuesday morning if I'm going to do the Tuesday office hours show. Chihuat says, I'm a UX. Sounds like a clothing size. Small, medium, large UX. It does. Sorry, emails coming in. So yeah, if I cancel the stuff out on the vacation, nothing personal to all y'all, but I might just take a vacation. I am going to be taking a laptop. I'm not going to take this microphone. I'm not even going to take, I bought a green screen for the camper, but I'm not going to take it. But maybe in the future I will green screen from the camper. So, we'll see. So worst case scenario, I'll see everybody Monday, June 6th for Think Out Loud, but y'all need to send me something for Think Out Loud. So don't forget, Think Out Loud is where I do design work on fake or realistic projects, but you've got to send in an idea. We're done. We finished the last one. So that's deltacx.com/link. Send in your idea for something you'd like to see me design live on the show. So the schedule will go back to mostly normal in early June. It's a little funky because I'm speaking at a lot of conferences in June, but we'll eventually get back to a regular schedule. I'm also working on lining up some guests and also some micro lessons for the July and August summer, which might be winter for some of you. Below the equator. So more stuff is coming. I'm still planning it. Any thoughts or questions before I wrap up the show and say a sad goodbye to everybody for the coming time? Kayleen says, enjoy a relaxing vacation. Is it still going to rain? I just checked the weather yesterday and it looked like thunderstorms everywhere we're going, which may or may not affect the Wi-Fi and might mean I'm working on my next book and playing cards with that guy. He's waving. That guy. No, says Kayleen. I know, Kayleen. What can I tell you? I'm looking at it right now. Let's take a look. Let's see. This is the boring part of the show, everybody. This is, okay, what's the weather for our first stop? Ooh. Hot over the weekend. Rainy Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday we move to our second stop. How's that one looking? Rainy, 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 rainy. Okay, not so great. How about our third stop? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Kayleen. That's definitely what my app looks like right now. Third stop. Let's take a look. Third stop. Cool, cloudy, rainy. I really hope this blows over by the time we get there. You know, weather changes all the time, and some of this stuff is a week or so out, but I got to admit it's not looking great. At least it's raining there right now. Okay, super. Fantastic. They've got a thunderstorm passing over. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you. Chihuat says, I just love your shows. Enjoy your holidays. I love doing the shows. I'm definitely going to miss all y'all. I will be checking in on Slack from time to time because I will just miss everybody too much to avoid the Slack. But my calendar is closed. There's no coaching sessions, and I don't know whether or not I will have the shows. Maybe we'll give it a try and see if I can stream from the other computer. This is a superpower computer and the mysterious vacation Wi-Fi. And so I packed the concealer just in case. Plus Red says, oh, you're on Twitch again. Yeah, Wilson, I decided to stream to Twitch again because I told them to remove me from the affiliate program. So that means that I can't make any money. You can't subscribe. You can't throw bits. You can't do all the things that people are used to doing on Twitch, but they won't show you ads. And that was the problem. I had to stop streaming on Twitch because people were getting ads because they were being bullied into paying for a subscription. Because when you pay for a subscription, you don't see ads. And yeah, two things were going wrong. And they were both fixed by me leaving the affiliate program. So it was the ads and it was, oh, and I can't stream to multiple places at the same time. If you're in the affiliate program, you have to only stream to Twitch, and I want to stream to multiple places at the same time. So I just said, fine, take me out of the affiliate program. I won't make money on Twitch, and neither will you. Happy now? Carl says, I have this problem with senior full-stack developers or software architects. Imposters are everywhere, not just UX. Totally agree, Carl. It's absolutely true. I say that in a lot of my talks to engineering groups. I say, you know, you hear about UX, UI, or you hear that researchers should design and designers should research, and you just need one jack of all unicorns. Well, we all know the full-stack developer who isn't. No gracias. All right. What makes a good UX manager? I feel like I just answered that. Why do I feel like I just answered that? I think that was in office hours 2 days ago. I'm going to ask you to go check office hours 2 days ago. I'm pretty sure that was one of the questions. So check May 17, 2022 office hours. I'm pretty sure that was one of the questions. I feel like I just answered this. Sorry. But it's good to see you again, Wilson. I hope you'll send me a private message and tell me how your new job is going. I really want to hear the good and the bad, but hopefully it's better than the last one. All right, everybody. Good to see you, some of the regulars. And oh, hi, Lior. Hope things are going well with you. Look, no matter what, I will have a fun vacation because I bring the fun, and this guy brings the fun. He's 100% fun, right, honey? Yes. Yes. He's made of fun. He's nitrogen, oxygen, and fun. So I'm sure whatever it is, we'll turn it into fun. Ta-da. So I'm going to play us out of here. I will genuinely miss all of you, but we'll keep up on Slack where possible, where raining. And if nothing else, I'll see everybody in 2 weeks, maybe sooner. Stay healthy. Play it smart. See you soon. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are